chosen one. Stop. Don't move. Don't scroll. Don't you dare look away. Because what you're feeling right now, that strange pull in your chest, that quiet voice saying, "This is for me," that is not accident. That is not coincidence. That is God. And He has been trying to reach you for a very long time. Let me ask you something nobody has ever asked you directly. What if everything you called weakness was actually warfare? What if every night you cried alone, every decade you held your family together while quietly falling apart inside every prayer you whispered into a dark ceiling when nobody knew you were even awake? What if none of that was suffering? What if heaven calls it strength? You have been smiling through grief most people couldn't survive. You have carried burdens that never had names. You have sat in rooms full of people and still felt completely, devastatingly alone. And somewhere along the way, you made a decision, maybe so quietly you didn't even notice. You decided that must mean something is wrong with you. But what if you've been misreading your entire life? Why have you always felt things more deeply than everyone around you? Why did certain battles feel 10 times heavier than they should have? Why did you survive things that genuinely should have destroyed you? You thought you were just tired. But what if you were carrying spiritual weight your mind never had the language to explain? You thought life made you hard. But what if God kept something holy alive in you through every storm, every betrayal, every silent breaking the whole time? Here is the truth that is going to change how you see every single year of your life. You are not just a person who has been through a lot. You may be someone whose spirit has been stronger than your suffering this whole time. Before we go one step further, if this opening already feels like it is reading your life out loud, I need you to write this in the comments right now. My spirit is still standing. Because in the next section, I'm going to show you exactly why what you always called your weakness may have been spiritual strength in disguise the entire time. Now let me tell you what was actually happening. All those years you thought you were just getting through the day, just managing, just surviving, just holding it together long enough to make it to bedtime. Something else entirely was going on beneath the surface. Your spirit was working, not resting, not struggling, working. Think back. How many times did you walk into a room and feel something shift before a single word was spoken? How many times did you sense tension building in your family days before it finally broke open? How many times did a wave of grief hit you, and then, hours later, the phone rang with news that explained everything? You called it anxiety. You called it overthinking. You told yourself you were being too sensitive, too emotional, too intense. But what if that was never the real explanation? What if what you called overthinking was sometimes discernment? What if what you called emotional overload was sometimes spiritual sensitivity? What if your spirit was picking up frequencies your mind had no category for? There is a man in the Bible named Elisha, and the scripture says he could perceive things in the spirit that no one around him could see. He knew what was being spoken in secret rooms. He sensed danger before it arrived. The people around him thought he was extraordinary, but Elisha wasn't performing miracles. He was simply awake in a way others were not. Then there was Anna, an 84-year-old widow who never left the temple. Decades of waiting, decades of watching. While the rest of the world moved on, Anna remained at her post, spiritually alert, spiritually expectant, until the very moment she recognized the Messiah as a newborn child. The world called her old. Heaven called her ready. Daniel, surrounded by a godless empire pressing against him from every direction, remained spiritually sharp under pressure that would have broken most people. Not because he was superhuman, because his spirit refused to go dull. And Jesus, the scripture says, he perceived what was in people. He felt when power left him in a crowd of thousands. He sensed what was unspoken before it was voiced. Do you see the pattern? The ones who carried the most felt the most. And here is what nobody ever told you. You have spent decades being called too sensitive, too much, too serious, too deep. People looked at how intensely you felt everything and treated it like a flaw that needed fixing. But maybe you were not too much. Maybe you were carrying more than the room had language for. You were the barometer in the house, the one who felt the pressure change before the storm arrived. You were the watchman on the wall, awake at 2 inches the morning, while everyone else slept, sensing something you couldn't name but couldn't ignore. You were the bridge bearing weight that was never yours alone to carry, holding people up who never once looked down to see what was underneath them. You were the lamp that kept burning long after everyone else had gone to bed. And nobody called it strength, nobody called it sacred. They just kept asking why you were always so tired. Here is why. A bridge doesn't get tired because it is weak. A bridge gets tired because it has been bearing weight. A watchman doesn't lose sleep because something is wrong with him. A watchman loses sleep because he takes his post seriously. Your exhaustion was never the evidence of your failure. It was the evidence of your assignment. You have prayed spontaneously, suddenly, urgently for someone, and had no idea why until later. You have felt a heaviness that had no name, no source, no logical explanation. You have grieved things before they happened. You have loved people so deeply it physically hurt when they were hurting. That was not weakness dressed in spiritual clothing. That was intercession. That was discernment. That was a spirit that was far more awake than you ever gave it credit for. Your body may have been exhausted, but your spirit was not asleep. Now here is the question I need you to sit with, and I am not going to answer it yet, because you need to feel the full weight of it first. If your spirit has been this strong, this active, this awake all along, then why did your life still feel so impossibly heavy? Hold that question. Let it breathe. Because the answer is going to reframe not just your past, it is going to reframe your entire identity. If what I just described has been your story, if you have spent years carrying weight nobody else seemed to feel, sensing things nobody else seemed to notice, fighting battles that always seemed bigger than they looked, whisper this to yourself right now, just between you and God. God, I was not imagining it, because you were not. And in the next section, I am going to show you exactly why your battles always felt 10 times heavier than they looked, and what that reveals about who you truly are. Now I need you to stay with me, because this next part, this is the part nobody ever said to your face. This is the part that is going to explain something you have been carrying your entire life, without a single word for it. You remember those mornings. You woke up and something felt wrong, but nothing in your house had changed. No bad news, no argument, no reason. Just this weight, heavy, unnamed, sitting right in the center of your chest like a stone that belonged to someone else. And you did what you always do. You got up anyway. You made the coffee. You checked on everybody else. You held it together. But here is what nobody told you. That weight, it may not have started with you. Some people in this world live only on the surface of life. They feel what is directly in front of them. They carry what is literally in their hands. But then there are others, and you already know which one you are. You felt the tension in your family before anyone said a word. You sensed the grief in your home before the phone even rang. You carried worry for your children, your adult children, long after they stopped telling you what was wrong. You felt the fractures in your marriage, your church, your friendships, before they ever cracked open into the visible. You have spent your life carrying atmospheres, not just situations. There is a difference, and that difference cost you everything. The Bible does not treat this lightly. Moses did not just lead a people, he bore them. Every complaint, every rebellion, every doubt of 2 million souls pressing against his spirit, until the man fell on his face and cried out, I cannot carry all these people alone. This burden is too heavy. Numbers 11:14. Too heavy. Moses said it. The man who parted the Red Sea said the people were too heavy to carry alone. Paul wrote to the Corinthians, besides everything else, I face daily the pressure of my concern for all the churches. Daily pressure, not weekly, not occasionally. Every single day, Paul carried people in his spirit who were miles away from him. Samuel wept through the night over a king God had already rejected. Jesus stood at the edge of Jerusalem, the city that would crucify him, and wept. Not for himself, for them. Do you understand what this means? The deepest spiritual figures in all of Scripture were not exempt from carrying others. They were called because of it, and so were you. Think about what you have absorbed over the decades. The stress of a struggling marriage, yours or someone else's. The silent ache of watching a child drift away from faith. The exhaustion of being the stable one in every room, the one everyone leaned on, while nobody, not one single person, ever asked what it was costing you. You were the sponge in the storm. You absorbed what would have flooded everyone else. You were the shield that kept getting hit, not because you were weak, but because you were standing in front of people who needed protecting. You were the tree that held through 30, 40, 50 winters, and people sat in your shade without ever once asking what it took to stay rooted. Here is what I need you to hear. And I need you to let this land all the way down. The reason life felt unusually heavy is not because something was broken in you. It may be because you were bearing more than anyone ever knew. You were not defective. You were not cursed. You were not being punished. You were trusted. And the weight you carried, that unnameable, invisible, exhausting weight, was not random. It had purpose. It had direction. It was pointed at protecting people who had no idea what was standing between them and destruction. The enemy did not come after you because you were empty. He came after you because you were full, because your prayers disrupted his plans, because your presence shifted rooms he needed to stay dark, because breaking you would have exposed everyone you were unknowingly covering. Pressure reveals value, always, in every direction, and the intensity of what came against you is evidence not of your weakness, but of what heaven knew was inside you. If you are still with me right now, if something in these words is unlocking a room inside you that has been closed for years, I need you to type this in the comments. What I carried had meaning. Say it, write it. Let your own hands declare what your heart has needed to hear for decades. Because now, everything shifts. If your spirit has truly been carrying more than you ever understood, if the weight was real, the cost was real, the sacrifice was real, then the next question becomes the most important one you have ever faced. Who are you underneath all of that survival? Not who life made you, not who pain shaped you, not who exhaustion reduced you to. Who did God originally design you to be? That answer is coming, and it is going to change everything. Can I tell you something that might be the most important thing anyone has ever said to you? The person you became, the tough one, the quiet one, the one who never asks for help, the one who shows up for everybody else while falling apart behind closed doors. That was not always the deepest you. That was the you that learned how to make it through. Think about it honestly. Somewhere between your 20s and now, somewhere between the first heartbreak and the 10th disappointment, somewhere between burying someone you loved and smiling at Sunday dinner like your chest wasn't caving in, you made a decision. You didn't announce it. You didn't even realize you were making it. But your soul made a quiet agreement with survival. I will become whatever I need to become to keep going. And so you did. You became the strong one because somebody had to be. You became the dependable one because people were counting on you. You became the silent one because every time you tried to speak your pain, the room didn't know what to do with it. You became useful instead of known, dependable instead of healed, needed instead of nurtured. And for decades, you wore that identity like a winter coat. Even when spring came, you kept it on, because you forgot you had a choice. The Bible never sugarcoats this. Elijah, the prophet who called down fire from heaven, collapsed under a broom tree and begged God to let him die. Not because he was weak, because he had been strong for so long that his soul had nothing left. Naomi returned home and told people to stop calling her Naomi, which means pleasant, and start calling her Mara, which means bitter, because life had worn her down to a name that matched her pain. Jacob wrestled with God all night and walked away limping, but he also walked away with a new name, a truer name, one that pain alone could never have given him. Peter, bold, loud, unbreakable. Peter denied Jesus 3 times and wept like a broken child. Do you see the pattern? Every single one of them built an identity around their wound, around their exhaustion, around their survival. And every single one of them God came after anyway, not to condemn the armor, but to show them they no longer needed it. Here is what nobody tells you about survival identities. They work. That is the dangerous part. They genuinely work. The guarded version of you kept your heart from being destroyed again. The hyper-independent version of you made sure you never had to depend on someone who might leave. The over-functioning version of you gave you worth when the world made you feel worthless. The emotionally shut-down version of you got you through rooms that would have broken an open heart. That armor was not weakness, it was engineering. Your soul built exactly what it needed to survive the storm. But here is the question that should stop you cold right now. What happens when God starts peeling away the version of you that survival built? What is underneath the toughness you performed for 50 years? What lives beneath the silence you mastered? What is still breathing under the identity that pain trained you to wear? Because scar tissue is real. It protects. But scar tissue also keeps the wound from fully healing. And God is not interested in protecting the scar anymore. He wants to touch what is underneath it. You are not only who pain trained you to become, you are also who God kept alive beneath the pain. Let that land. There is a version of you tender, spiritually alive, deeply known by heaven, that never disappeared. It just went quiet. It went underground. It waited. Through every hard year, every loss, every season where you functioned on empty. That original you. The one God designed before life got its hands on you. It is still there, and it has been waiting for exactly this moment. Some of you have been the strong one for so long, you genuinely cannot remember what it felt like to be held. Some of you have been serving, giving, showing up, hiding grief behind usefulness for so many years that being needed became the only way you knew how to feel loved. God sees that. He is not angry at the armor. He is just gently, persistently knocking on the door behind it. If this section is reaching somewhere deep inside you right now, I want you to say this quietly just between you and God. Lord, show me who I am beneath the armor. You don't have to shout it. You don't have to perform it. Just mean it. Because what comes next is not just healing. It is recognition. God is about to show you a face in the mirror you forgot was yours, a strength you never credited to yourself, a calling that was written over you before a single hard thing ever happened. The next layer is not about fixing you, it is about finding you. And what God finds is going to change everything. Now, I need you to stay with me, because what I'm about to say is going to reach further back into your life than you may be ready for. You came into this moment carrying a name, not the name your mother gave you, a different kind of name, the kind that gets written on you by decades of disappointment, by people who left, by doors that never opened, by prayers that seemed to dissolve the moment they left your lips. And that name whispered things like, too old, too late, too damaged, too quiet, too worn down, too overlooked to matter anymore. You didn't choose that name. Life pressed it into you like a brand. But here is what heaven has been waiting to tell you. That name was never yours. Jeremiah 1-5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Before your first heartbreak, before your first loss, before the marriage that fell apart, the child who walked away, the diagnosis that changed everything, the decade that felt like one long winter, God already knew your name. Not the name pain gave you, His name for you. And His name for you has never once included the word forgotten. Let me speak directly to someone right now. You are in your 60s, your 70s, maybe your 80s, and somewhere deep inside you have made a quiet, devastating peace with the idea that your best days are simply behind you, that the calling you once felt, that fire, that sense of purpose, somehow expired without you noticing. You look at your hands. You see the years in them. And the world, this fast, loud, youth-obsessed world, has spent decades agreeing with your doubt. But can I tell you what God sees when He looks at those same hands? He sees hands that held families together when everything was falling apart. Hands that folded in prayer when no one else was praying. Hands that kept giving, kept serving, kept reaching, even when they were shaking. Psalm 139 says, "You are fearfully and wonderfully made, not were, not once were, are." Right now, at this age, in this season, with every scar and every mile showing on your face, you are still fearfully and wonderfully made. Moses was 80 years old when God stopped him at a burning bush and said, now is when I need you. Not at 30, not at 50, at 80. Gideon was hiding in a winepress, convinced he was the least significant man in the weakest family, in the smallest tribe, and the angel walked up to him and said, "Mighty warrior, not future mighty warrior, not potentially mighty warrior." The angel called him what God already saw before Gideon could see it himself. That is what is happening to you right now. Isaiah 43 says, "When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned." Not if you walk through fire. When? God never promised you a life without the furnace. He promised you a presence inside it. And here is what fire does to gold. It does not destroy it. It burns away everything that was never gold to begin with. Every false identity, every borrowed shame, every label that life pressed into you without your permission. The fire didn't take your gold. The fire revealed it. You are not the ash. You are what survived the burning. 2 Corinthians 4 says, "We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, struck down, but not destroyed." That is not poetry. That is your biography. Think about what you have survived. Quietly. Without applause. Without anyone handing you an award for still being here. You are not broken beyond repair. You are spiritually sustained through fire. There is a difference, and heaven knows exactly which one you are. Your wrinkles are not evidence of uselessness. They are victory lines. Every one of them represents a storm you walked through and came out the other side still breathing, still believing, still standing. Your slower season is not spiritual irrelevance. It is depth. It is the kind of authority that only comes from decades of walking with God through the dark. A spring doesn't stop being a spring because the ground above it looks dry. Your living water has not run out. It has gone deeper. You are not the pain life named you with. You are the person God kept alive through it. Read that again. Let it land somewhere real inside you, because that truth, that one truth, has the power to rewrite how you see every single year that came before this moment. If you are ready to agree with heaven more than your history, write this in the comments right now. I am more than what happened to me. Say it. Type it. Let your own hands declare it. Because once a person begins to see themselves the way God sees them, not through the fog of old wounds, but through the clarity of sacred identity, everything shifts. How they suffer changes. How they pray changes. How they speak changes. And most powerfully of all, how they walk changes. And in the next section, I'm going to show you exactly what begins to happen when a spirit that has been carrying weight in silence finally realizes it was never alone. Let me ask you the question you have never been able to answer. How did you survive it? Not just one thing, all of it. The phone call that dropped you to your knees, the diagnosis that rewrote your entire future, the person you loved with everything you had, who left anyway. The years you spent pouring yourself out for people who never once asked if you were okay. How are you still here? Because here is what the world will tell you. They will say you are tough. They will say you are a fighter. They will say you have grit, resilience, a strong personality. But I am going to tell you the truth. That is not what kept you standing. The Apostle Paul wrote something so simple, it almost sounds too small for what it carries. He said, "We have this treasure in jars of clay." Jars of clay. Do you know what that means? It means the vessel was never supposed to be the miracle. You were never the source of the strength. The treasure inside you, the spirit God placed within you before you were ever born, that was the power. That was what held. You thought you were carrying yourself through those seasons. You thought it was your stubbornness, your willpower, your sheer refusal to quit. But there were nights, and you know exactly which nights I am talking about, when you had nothing left. No fight, no faith, no words, just breathing, because breathing was all you could manage. And you made it through anyway. That was not you. That was God. Isaiah said it like this: "Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles." Not crawl, not stumble forward, mount up. But here is what nobody tells you about that verse. Before the eagle rises, it endures the storm. It does not fly around the wind. It opens its wings into the resistance, and the very force designed to knock it down is the same force that lifts it higher. Every storm you survived was not just something you endured, it was something that was building beneath your wings the whole time. Think about what you have actually lived through. You buried people you were not ready to bury, and you still got up the next morning and made coffee and kept going because someone needed you to. You received news that should have finished your hope completely, and somewhere, somehow, a small flame refused to go out. You were betrayed by people who should have been your shelter, and even in the bitterness, even in the anger, something in you held on to the possibility that tenderness was still worth having. You went through health battles in the dark, alone, wondering if your body was giving up on you, and yet something inside said, "Not yet." That something has a name. Grace. Paul wrote again, "Though outwardly we are wasting away, inwardly we are being renewed day by day, day by day." Not in one dramatic moment, not in one mountaintop miracle. Renewed quietly, steadily, invisibly, the way roots grow deeper under frozen ground in January, when nothing above the surface looks alive. You could not see it happening, but it was happening. Think of an old house. You walk through it, and the floors creak, and the paint is fading, and the years show on every wall. But tear open that ceiling, and you will find something extraordinary. Beams and pillars and framework so solid, so precisely built, that the whole structure has been standing through decades of storms because of what nobody could see from the outside. That is you. What people saw on the outside, the tired eyes, the quiet endurance, the weight you carried, that was never the whole picture. Beneath all of it, God built something that could not be taken down. Steel beneath velvet. Oil still burning in the lamp when the whole room looks dark. Your spirit was not fragile. It was forged. And God has been proving that through every single season you were absolutely certain would finish you. Every one of those seasons was not destroying you. It was revealing what was already inside you, what He placed inside you, what no amount of loss, no amount of disappointment, no amount of time could ever fully touch. If you have survived, what should have buried you, if you are sitting here right now and you know, deep in your bones, that you should not still be standing, but you are. I need you to write this in the comments right now. God kept me alive for a reason. Say it, type it, claim it out loud, because that statement is not just a feeling, it is a declaration that changes the atmosphere around your life. But strength is not the end of this story, because now comes the question that will reframe every hard year you have ever lived. If God went to all that trouble to keep you standing, if he sustained you through every storm, every betrayal, every breaking point, then he was not just saving you. He was preparing you. And what he was preparing you for is exactly what we are going to uncover next. Can I tell you something that nobody ever told you? The years you felt invisible, those were not wasted years. The seasons, nobody called your name. Nobody recognized your sacrifice. Nobody saw what you were carrying. Those were not empty seasons. Those were sacred ones. And the reason God kept you hidden had nothing to do with your value. It had everything to do with your destiny. Think about the decades you gave quietly, the mornings you showed up when nobody applauded, the gifts you poured into people who never said thank you, the prayers you carried alone at 3 inches the morning while the rest of the world slept, the years you watched others get promoted, recognized, celebrated, while you remained in the background, wondering if God had simply forgotten your address. You smiled, you served, you endured, and deep inside, a question never fully left you. Why not me? Why has it always been like this? Here is what heaven has never stopped knowing, even when you forgot it yourself. Some things are not hidden because they are small. They are hidden because they are sacred. Open your Bible. Look at Moses. 40 years. 40 years in the Midian wilderness, tending sheep in the back of beyond, 100 miles from power, from influence, from anything that looked like purpose. The world moved on without him. Egypt forgot him, and yet God was doing something in that silence that a palace never could have produced. He was building a deliverer who had learned humility. He was forming a leader who no longer trusted his own strength. The burning bush didn't appear until Moses had been hidden long enough to stop performing. Now look at David, chosen by God, anointed by Samuel, then sent right back to the fields, back to the sheep, back to the obscurity. No throne, no announcement, no ceremony, just grass and wind and the quiet company of God. And in that hiddenness, David wrote songs that still reach human souls 3,000 years later. Songs that could only have been written by someone who had nothing left but God. Look at Joseph. Prison walls, false accusations, forgotten by the very man he helped. 2 full years of silence after doing everything right. And yet, every single day in that cell was God deepening the character that a palace would demand. Look at Anna, 84 years old. A widow since young, serving in the temple day and night, year after year, decade after decade, while the world outside celebrated, married, built families, moved on. And yet, when the moment of all moments finally arrived, she was there, she was ready. Because hiddenness had made her spiritually sharp in ways that comfort never could. And then, look at Jesus himself. 30 years of silence before 3 years that changed eternity. 30 years of ordinary life. Carpentry, anonymity, preparation before a single public word was spoken. Do you understand what God is saying to you through every one of those lives? Hiddenness is not punishment. It is preparation. Think of roots underground. You cannot see them. You cannot measure them. But every brutal winter, every drought, every dark season, the roots are going deeper. And when the tree finally rises, it rises unshakable. Because what was built in secret holds everything visible together. Think of oil sealed in a jar. It sits in the dark. It waits. It does not announce itself. But the moment that seal is broken and the oil is poured, it anoints, it heals, it illuminates everything it touches. Think of a symphony orchestra before the curtain rises. The audience hears nothing organized, nothing beautiful, just fragments, tuning, preparation. But every musician is getting ready, and when the conductor raises his hand, what was hidden in rehearsal becomes the performance that moves people to tears. That is your life. That is what God has been doing in you. The lost decades were not lost. They were loaded. Loaded with wisdom that only suffering can teach. Loaded with compassion that only disappointment can carve. Loaded with spiritual weight that public recognition would have stolen from you because praise too early produces pride. but hiddenness produces power. Your invisible years did not delay your purpose. They deepened it. And now hear this with everything in you. Your hidden years were not proof that God forgot you. They may be the very reason your spirit became so strong. The strength you carry right now, the resilience, the depth, the unshakable something in you that survived every single storm that was built in the secret place. That was forged in the years that looked like nothing. That was grown underground when nobody was watching, and God protected it there. Because what He was building in you was too important to be exposed before it was ready. If you have ever felt hidden, if you have ever grieved the years that seem to pass without purpose, say this right now, out loud, wherever you are. Lord, let me trust what you built in secret. Because now we have to ask the one question that changes absolutely everything. If God spent all those years building something extraordinary inside you in secret, what is that hidden strength meant to do now? You made it through every storm, every betrayal, every silent season where you held everything together and nobody thought to ask if you were okay. You made it through decades that would have broken most people before the halfway mark. And now I need to ask you the most important question you may have ever been asked in your life. What if surviving was never the point? Because here is what nobody tells you. Here is what gets buried under years of just getting through the day. God did not preserve you simply so you could last. He preserved you so you could matter. There is a difference. And that difference is everything. Lasting means you endured. Mattering means your endurance was always meant for someone else. Think about the people in your life right now. Your grandchildren scrolling through a world that is moving faster than their souls can handle. Your children carrying pressures they don't have the wisdom yet to name. Your neighbors who smile on Sunday morning but fall apart by Tuesday night. They don't need your opinions, they need your prayers. They don't need your perfection, they need your presence. They don't need a polished speech. They need someone who has already walked through the fire and came out the other side still believing God is good. That person is you. The Bible doesn't celebrate youth the way this culture does. Scripture celebrates the seasoned. Caleb was 80 years old when he looked at a mountain, the same mountain that terrified men half his age, and said, "Give me this mountain, not give me rest, not give me comfort. Give me the hard thing, because I am still available." Anna was 84 years old, fasting and praying in the temple, when she recognized the Messiah that the young and powerful completely missed. Not because she had more education, because she had more depth. Simeon carried a promise for decades. Decades of waiting, decades of trusting, decades that must have felt like silence. And then, in the final chapter of his life, God said, "Now," and everything he had been preserved for was standing right in front of him. That is not a coincidence written for ancient history. That is a pattern written for you. Paul told Timothy something that shakes me every single time I read it. He said, "What you have received from me, pass it on, not what you studied, not what you theorized. What you received, what you lived, what was tested in you through real fire, and real darkness, and real doubt. That is yours to give, and nobody else on earth can give it. You are a lighthouse. And lighthouses do not apologize for standing still while everything around them moves. They do not chase the storm, they anchor against it. They say to every ship heading toward the rocks, "Not this way. I know where the danger is. Follow the light." Your grandchildren need that lighthouse. Your family needs that lighthouse. Your community, your church, your neighborhood. They need someone who has already survived the storm they are currently terrified of. America right now is drowning in noise. Loud voices, fast opinions, shallow certainty. What this nation is starving for is not another platform. It is elders who carry depth. Watchmen who have stood long enough to know the difference between a passing wind and a real warning. That is what you carry, and you have been sitting on it, quietly, humbly, thinking maybe your season has passed. But God, does not preserve what he is finished with. You are not an old oak tree that survived the storm by accident. You are an old oak tree whose roots go so deep that the younger trees nearby are protected from winds they don't even know are blowing, because you are standing there absorbing it. Your steady presence in a room full of panic is a spiritual weapon. Your quiet faith when everyone else is spiraling is a gift most people cannot manufacture, no matter how hard they try. Your willingness to say, "I don't understand this either, but I still trust God," that sentence alone can save someone's faith on the worst night of their life. You were not preserved merely to last. You were preserved to matter. And mattering does not require a stage. It does not require a microphone. It does not require anyone applauding. It only requires your availability. So right now, in this moment, if your spirit knows deep down, beneath the exhaustion, beneath the years, beneath everything, if you know that you are still here for more than survival, I need you to type this in the comments. I am still available to God, because available is all heaven needs. But hear me, availability without voice remains buried. And in the next section, we are going to talk about something that has been silenced in you for far too long. Because your story, the one you think is too broken, too ordinary, too late to matter, that story is exactly what someone is desperately waiting to hear. You survived the silence. Now it is time to break it. Because here is what nobody told you, and what heaven has been waiting for the right moment to say directly to your soul. The years you spent going quiet were never meant to be permanent. They were preparation. Think about how many times you swallowed your words, how many rooms you walked into and made yourself smaller, how many conversations where you had the truth sitting right there on the tip of your tongue and you pulled it back, again and again and again. Maybe someone talked over you so many times you stopped trying to be heard. Maybe you kept the peace so long that peace became your prison. Maybe life knocked the confidence out of you so gradually you didn't even notice it leaving, until one day you looked in the mirror and realized the person staring back had gone almost completely quiet. And somewhere deep down, you told yourself that was just what happens when you get older, that your voice belonged to younger years, that nobody was really listening anymore anyway. But let me ask you something that is going to cut straight through that lie. When did God ever tell you your voice was finished? Moses stood at the edge of his calling and said, "I am not eloquent. I never have been." He was 80 years old. 80. And God looked at that reluctant, stuttering, self-doubting man and said, "I will be with your mouth." Not someday, right then. Ezekiel was dropped into a valley of dry bones, dead things, forgotten things, things that looked like they had no future, and God told him to speak to them, not pray over them, not mourn them. Speak. And life came rushing back. Anna was 84 years old, a widow, decades of waiting behind her, and the moment she saw what heaven had prepared, she opened her mouth and proclaimed redemption to everyone who would listen. 84 years old, still speaking, still testifying, still spiritually sharp as a blade. David didn't wait for permission to address Goliath. He opened his mouth before the giant fell. Paul wrote some of the most authoritative words in all of Scripture from a prison cell, in chains, in weakness. And those words are still breaking chains 2,000 years later. Do you see the pattern? God does not use voices that have everything figured out. He uses voices that have been through everything and come out still believing. Your voice does not have to mean a pulpit. It does not have to mean a stage or a microphone or a crowd of thousands. Your voice is how you pray over your grandchildren at night. It is how you speak peace into a room that is about to explode. It is how you tell the truth when everyone around you is pretending. It is how you set a boundary and hold it without apology. It is how you testify even quietly, even privately, that God was faithful when nothing made sense. That is not a small thing. That is not an old thing. That is one of the most powerful things a human being can do on this earth. The world may have taught you to go quiet, but heaven did not preserve your spirit through 60, 70, 80 years of living through every loss, every betrayal, every night you weren't sure you'd make it to morning so that your wisdom could die in silence. You are not a burned-out candle. You are coal that has been under pressure so long, it became something harder, something rarer, something that does not break. You are a bell that has never been struck at full force. You are a river that has been dammed up for decades, and the dam is breaking now. You are an old violin that has been sitting in the corner of the room, while lesser instruments made all the noise, and God is finally lifting you, drawing the bow across your strings, and what comes out of you is going to fill the cathedral. Here is the truth that should shake something loose inside you right now. The same life that almost silenced you may become the very source of your authority. Not despite what you went through, because of it. Every scar gave your voice weight. Every wound gave your words truth. Every year of quiet endurance gave your testimony the kind of depth that no young, unbroken voice can manufacture. You did not waste those years. God was tuning you. So right now, wherever you are, whether you are sitting in your living room, lying in bed, standing in your kitchen, I need you to do something. Say this out loud, not in your head, with your actual voice, the one that is still there, the one that still belongs to God. Say it. My voice still belongs to God. Say it like you mean it. Say it like the bones in that valley heard Ezekiel and started moving. Say it like David said it, standing in front of something that looked impossible. Because once your spirit is recognized, and once your voice is released, there is only one thing left. To step into the next chapter of your life without shrinking, without apologizing, without looking back. And that is exactly where we are going next. Let me tell you what heaven has seen this whole time. Not the version of you that broke down in the bathroom at 2 inches the morning. Not the version that smiled at Thanksgiving dinner while carrying grief nobody at that table could see. Not the version that sat in the back pew wondering if God had forgotten your name. Heaven saw something else entirely. Heaven saw a spirit that would not quit. You were not merely tired. You were carrying weight that would have crushed someone who wasn't chosen to carry it. You were not merely surviving. You were being sustained, held together by hands you couldn't see, through seasons that had no business leaving you standing. You were not merely hidden. You were being formed, shaped in the silence, sharpened in the waiting, prepared in the dark for something that required every single year of what you endured. You were not merely wounded. You were being refined. And gold doesn't apologize for the fire it survived to become what it is. And hear this clearly. You are not merely old. You are spiritually weighty. There is a difference between someone who has lived many years and someone whose spirit has been forged through many wars. You are not the first, you are the second, and the world does not have enough discernment yet to know how rare that is. Psalm 92:14 says it plainly. They shall still bear fruit in old age. They shall be fresh and flourishing. Not were, not used to be, shall be. God wrote your flourishing in the present tense. That is not poetry. That is prophecy, and it has your name on it. There is still purpose left in you. There is still influence left in these hands. There is still prayer left in this voice. There is still service left in this body. There is still revelation left in this mind. There is still legacy left, legacy that has not yet touched the people it was always meant to reach. You are not finished. Your spirit is stronger than you ever gave it credit for. I need to speak to someone specific right now. To the widow sitting in a house that used to be full of noise, your grief is real, but your calling did not retire when he did. To the grandfather who thinks his best days were 40 years ago, the wisdom inside you right now is worth more than anything you built with your hands back then. To the prayer warrior who has been interceding in that quiet room for decades, wondering if any of it mattered, heaven kept every single one. Not one word fell to the ground. To the church elder who was overlooked, passed over, never given the platform your faithfulness deserved, God does not promote by committee. Your time is not behind you. To the one who cried in the kitchen where nobody could hear, he heard. Every single time, he heard. To the one who buried dreams, buried loved ones, buried pieces of yourself, and still got up the next morning and kept breathing, that is not weakness, wearing a brave face. That is a spirit that carries the mark of the Almighty. You have spent years measuring yourself by what hurt you, but heaven has been measuring you by what you survived, what you carried, and what still burns in you. And here is the truth that this entire message has been building toward, the truth that changes everything. You have no idea who you really are until God shows you what your spirit has already endured. The suffering was not the story. The suffering was the evidence of the story. Evidence that something inside you was too important to be destroyed, too called to be cancelled, too anointed to be abandoned. You made it here tonight for a reason, and that reason is not small. So, before this message ends, I need you to do something. Write it below, right now, in the comments, where heaven and earth can both witness it. My spirit is stronger than I knew. Then, after this ends, not tomorrow, not someday, take 60 seconds and speak directly to God. Tell him plainly, I agree with what you kept alive in me. That is not a prayer for the religious. That is a declaration for the chosen, and you qualify. If this message met you in a real place tonight, if something in these words finally named what you have been carrying for years, stay connected, subscribe. There is more ahead, and I want to walk with you through every step of it. And send this right now to the one person in your life who looks strong on the outside, but is fighting a hidden war on the inside. They need to hear this tonight. You are not fading into the dark. You are becoming visible in the light of everything God has sustained in you all along. The night was long, but chosen one, look at the sky. The sunrise has already begun.